What are weak squares in chess and how to use them? Imagine a battlefield where some spots are more vulnerable than others. In chess, those spots are called weak squares. They are squares on the board that your pawns cannot defend. Because pawns move forward and only attack diagonally, certain squares become unprotected when pawns move away from their original positions. These squares are prime real estate for your opponent's pieces to occupy. Weak squares often appear after exchanges of pieces or pawn moves that leave certain squares undefended. For example, if a bishop or knight is traded off, the squares of the same color can become weak. To spot these weak squares, look at the third or fourth ranks for white and the fifth or sixth for black. If a square cannot be attacked by pawns, it's likely weak. The center squares are especially important because they give your pieces more influence. A knight sitting on a weak square in the middle can control many key areas of the board. When you find a weak square, think about how it can serve as a stronghold for your pieces. Creating weak squares in your opponent's position can turn the tide of the game. You can do this by breaking their pawn structure, pushing pawns to create gaps, or provoking them to move pawns in ways that leave weaknesses. Sacrificing a pawn or exchanging pieces can also open up weak squares for your pieces to occupy. The goal is to make your opponent's position less solid and more vulnerable. Using weak squares is a smart way to gain an advantage. Place your knights or bishops on these squares to control important lines and restrict your opponent's pieces. Supporting these pieces with pawns makes it even harder for your opponent to challenge them. In the endgame, controlling weak squares allows your king to infiltrate the enemy's territory more easily. In the middle game, exploiting weak squares can open lines for your pieces and create threats. For example, a knight on a weak square can jump into the enemy's camp and threaten their king or other valuable pieces. It's all about recognizing these vulnerabilities and turning them into opportunities. By understanding how to identify and create weak squares, you can make smarter moves and put pressure on your opponent's position. This strategic approach can lead to more wins and better control of the game.